That looks like that might be working. I should definitely take that off. Good evening, it's Mike here, Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and it is Saturday the 16th of May 2020. How are we all doing tonight? What a week it's been. Crazy times in the old COVID world at the moment. So hopefully you're all doing well, hopefully you're all staying safe and staying healthy and got your face masks and all that kind of good stuff and looking after yourselves. Tonight's stream, what we're going to talk about tonight, we're going to be talking about, well, what it says in the title. What parts should you use for a new PC build? That's going to be the main topic. We are going to talk about other things as well. Totally open to all of your questions and comments in the live chat. If you want to raise a question, feel free to put it in there. I'll try and get through as many as I possibly can. And also we'll probably be talking about other things that have been going on in the world this week. First of all, as per usual, we will say a quick hello to some of you that are in the chat already. So let's have a quick scroll through and see who is in. So we've got Angry Doges in the house, Sotengel, Thug Gamer, Sky Stalker, Half the Tree, Milsh Monster, Halandro del Barrio Yones.
That's a nice accent.
Nice. I don't know if I made that work or not, but there we go. Gordon Rogerson, Captain Meets Adventures, Billy K's in the house. Billy K, I did get your email. We'll be checking it out very, very shortly. British Noobs in the house.
Thank you, Noob.
Caleb Lemming, or Caleb Lemming. Who else have we got? I think that pretty much is everyone. AKA Liam's in the house. Aletta Liano's in the house. That's not a real name, by the way. Ferry Flash Peter Ponder. That's, yeah, I've made a right mess of that. Thug Gamer, I think we've said hello to you already. Ghost Adder. Who else is there? If I miss anyone out, I do apologise. GG says hello. I'm going to scroll through. Toxic Sama. Ricardo. Nak says hi. Wow, I'm not even sure how to pronounce this one. Zaihatsu NL? I don't know.
I'd like to see your face.
I don't get paid enough to know these kind of things. Bruno's in the house as well. Glenn's in the house. David Aiken's in the house. Or Aitken or Aiken. One of the two. And, oh yeah, so D. Aitken got you from Discord. Should say a good and a big hello to all of the Discord crew that are in the chat as well at the moment. For those of you that don't know, we do have a Discord chat server which is full of amazing people at the moment, and obviously if you want to join, it'll be full of even more amazing people. It's a really cool place to hang out. You can chat, you can play games, you can ask technical questions, you can find the things that we're trying to sell, you can help out fellow tech enthusiasts, and just take the mickey out of British Noob. He does like that a lot. So you're more than welcome to join, and hopefully either one of the moderators or Kath will put the link to that in the chat.
You didn't thank Noob, did you?
And I will be. I'm getting around to the super chat. I'm just trying to say hello to everybody. Gary's in the house. We've got Ubuntu Dread. I think that is pretty much Steve Sivens. Angry Doge, yeah. Jason R. We got you. We got you all. Welcome everybody. Got 43 viewers already in the chat. What is going on? There must really be nothing on TV or YouTube at the moment for you all to be slumming it here with good old Mikey and Kath here at Mike's Unboxing.
And Flame.
And obviously Flame, Maisie and Daisy. So British Noob is already hit us with a £2 super chat. Now if you wonder what the RGB disco ball was just now, if we get a super chat, it triggers the disco ball, and yeah. Kath has to stand up, turn the lights off so you can see a bit better. It's part of our exercise routine. With the lockdown at the moment, we're not getting out as much as we can, so the more super chats you can do, the better for Kath and her exercise and to keep her healthy. And minimise her ass. Anyway, moving on from that very, very quickly. So, British Noob with his £2 super chat has asked a question, and we do answer all the super chat questions, eventually. Mike, what's your thoughts on Hitler? Okay, not really the sort of question I was expecting, but...
He had a nice moustache.
Yeah, he had a nice moustache, give him that, and I'm quite envious of his black hair. I had hair once and it was relatively dark, so yeah.
Didn't quite have that power.
He probably had a lot of downsides, to be completely fair, and probably wasn't the nicest of people. But having said that, great moustache and great hair, so thumbs up for that.
And a lot of cats that look like him.
Yeah, and also he has made himself very much meme-worthy with cats that look like Hitler, so there's a lot to like. There's a lot to not like as well, but let's just overlook that for the sake of... Oh, Nugent says, Hell Hydra. Yeah, very good. Sotangel says, Kath, do you have your own mic now? No, she's just talking louder.
I was nearer.
And she was nearer because she's doing the lights.
I'm looking out.
British Noob says, I feel scammed. It's probably not the first time, so I won't worry. I keep on dropping my microphone, I do apologise. David Aitken says, you had it right the first time, fantastic. So everyone's doing well, and we've got the link for the Discord, so we're all good there. Quickly go through the videos we've done this week. I'll get it out of the way now because it's a pain in the backside, otherwise I forget to do it. So if you've got any comments or questions on those videos, again, we'll take some questions later on. We did the dummy battery for the G7 for streaming, which was, I don't know how I'd live without it. I'm using one now currently with my G80. I've got 2 of them, fantastic devices. So if you're thinking of live streaming, you've got a Lumix camera or any other sort of DLSR, and you want to have it permanently powered rather than relying on scary batteries, which go flat all the time, get yourself one of those. You can check out the video, there'll be links somewhere or other. Also, we had a look at the monitor, which you probably can't see, or you can just about see the side of it there. The Acer Nitro, the RG240Y monitor. Really happy with it. I've been using it all week and gotta say, damn good buy. Glad I got it. I was umming and ahhing, where do I send it back? Take advantage of Amazon's 30-day returns and get myself the Ilyama? They're not German or Chinese, are they? They might be, I'm not sure. Anyway, I was going to get the Ilyama G Master 240, but I'm sticking with the Acer. I like the Acer. And we've had another super chat come in from Caleb Lemming, another £2.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, yes, thank you very much, and thank you for exercising Kath's backside. His question is, insert good question here. Okay. Well, I think I made a big enough mess of answering Noob's question earlier, so I won't try and mess that one up any further, so we'll ignore that one for now. Videos this week as well, we did your browser is managed by your organisation, which I get so many emails and messages and comments on. It's a massive thing, and I pretty much guarantee of the, nearly 50 of you that are watching this at the moment, if you go into your Chrome browser or just open up another tab, click on the 3 dots and see if it says managed by your organisation. It's got to be one of you. Someone try it now, please do try it. I'm sure someone will have it, and quite often it's very benign, doesn't affect your PC or anything. It's normally your antivirus software or some sort of spyware software. Just taking a little bit of control on your browser and stopping you getting any nasties, but also it can be a sign that you've already got some nasties and someone is hijacking your browser. So there is always that to it.
Where is it?
3 dots at the top. Should be at the bottom if you've got it, of that list.
No.
You haven't, no. Kath's browser is clean. Who'd have thought? So we've got another super chat in from the British Noob, another £2, and he says, how much to admit Intel is better? Well, at this time of the product cycles, I don't think I really need to answer that one. Although, we've got the 10 series kind of reviews will be hitting the interwebs very, very shortly. So who knows what's going to happen? It could completely all change and reverse, and AMD could be on the back foot again. But I think from what we've seen sneak previews of already, that's pretty unlikely. So, internet delivery options. So for those of you doing, actually this is an interesting one. The internet delivery options for making your internet better when you're doing Windows updates. I actually had to use that myself today when I was doing an update because I was trying to do something else as well. Also, I was trying to download a game, which is Rainbow Six Siege, which was kindly donated from one of our Discord and Patreon members. And speaking of which, we've had another 2 super chats. One from Skystalker, $10 Canadian. He says, AMD is better, noob. That's why you're a noob. He's got you there. He has got you there. Angry Doge also says, AMD is better and always will be. Well, let's certainly hope so. after what happened last week with the B550 chipset and the updates for the X470, yeah, they've got some catching up to do for sure. British Noob says, just give me a price. Just give you a price to say that Intel is better than AMD. Not a lot. And British Noob is doing it again. This could go on all night. This could get out of hand. Calf's backside is shrinking as we speak. British Noob's giving us another £11 UK pounds, and he says 1, Dodge doesn't know how to install Windows. 2, AMD is worse. Intel is the best. In fact, I will back that up a little bit for you there, British Noob. Intel is best when it comes to chipsets. I think we can probably all agree that the Intel chipset and the Intel chipset drivers, and also the price of Intel motherboards, generally at the moment, does seem to be, on the different tier levels, much better than AMD. So purely for that fact, I would say yes, Intel is the best when it comes to chipsets for sure. They, although they don't support PCI Express 4 yet, which is a little bit of a downer. But anyway, British Noob has put another £2 in the kitty and says he's cracking. I am, and getting rich in the process. Thank you so much. And obviously, YouTube will take their cut out of this as well. So, what else do we do video-wise? Let's get this out of the way so I can start looking at some of your questions and start actually talking about some of the things we've had come in this week. I can't see them now because the RGB's on. Kill. Die. Hello, McFly. That's better. Oh dear. Okay, so we also had the yet another, was that a Chrome thing? No, that was a Windows search. This is taking too long to load fix. Now, if you've done a recent Windows update, which I guess most of you have because we've just gone past update Tuesday, some of you have had the weird thing, and I've had it myself, where you click on the start bar, the search bar, and it just comes up saying this is taking too long to load, and then gives you some kind of weird message. Yet easy to fix, so we have managed to fix it. It's a relatively straightforward thing to do, so you can check out the video if it's a problem for you. But I've also got the feedback from quite a few of you that you actually don't use the Windows search feature, which actually surprises me. I use it quite a lot, so anyway. Horses for courses, we all do. That's the beauty of PCs. We all use them in our own little ways, and we always find a way of making it work for us one way or the other.
That's the clues in the title.
Yeah, the clue is in the title, personal computer. It is very personal to you, so you can do what you like with it, within reason. We also did the QP600 power bank, which is actually, I've got just here, silicon power, the 18 watt, 10,000 milliamp hours charger. Very nice, very sexy. We like that a lot. And no doubt when we get to the point where we're actually allowed out of the house again and we have a need to charge our device on the go, that is definitely going to be going along with us. But we're not quite there yet. What else we do? So, oh yeah, the last video we did, which actually has turned out to be super popular, and for good reason. It was a fantastic case, and I'm really excited to build on it, which hopefully, for those of you that are interested, we will be trying to do a live stream tomorrow evening. So another weekend stream, doing a live build in the Sharkoon RGB Lit 100. So for those of you that are interested in watching me make an absolute catastrophe whilst the cameras are rolling, feel free to join us tomorrow. Maybe we'll do it a little bit earlier because it could be a long stream, so maybe around about the sort of 7, 8 o'clock mark tomorrow. We'll hopefully try and get that done. Yeah, technology permitting, as is always the case. But the Sharkoon RGB Lit 100 case, I was surprised that it got as many views as it did. It's turned out to be a super popular video. In fact, it's the second highest rating video of our previous 10 videos, only surpassed by, what was the other one, Kath? What was our highest rating video? I forgot now.
Loose Nichols?
No, for the previous 10. I can't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but it has been super popular. And yeah, hopefully it is a very enjoyable build. It looks like a really good case. For £50, there's not a lot on the market now. You can spend a little bit more and get something a bit nicer. But if you really are kind of on that £50 budget margin, the Sharkoon Lit 100, or the 200 for that matter, from what I can see, the 200 is essentially identical, just a slightly different front. Really has loads of options and is surprisingly well built. I'm not sure if it come across in the video. I did notice some of you mentioned that the I/O panel on the top where the USBs and the power button are seemed like it wasn't quite fitted right, but it's actually, that is by design. Sharkoon are very weird in that kind of way, where they like to have little kind of lips and almost like a spoiler on a lot of their products. Their fans for sure. There's all these kind of swoopy lines and what have you. Again, Sharkoon, shark blades. It's that shark fin curve. They really do love that kind of thing. So even on a flat boxy case, they've managed to put in a few little kind of aesthetic touches just to give it a little bit of a lift, which some people might like, some people might dislike, some people might prefer the kind of plainer, flatter look. Again, personal computer, it is your personal preference. It is what it is. But yeah, definitely, I really did like that case. Loads of flexibility. Looks like it's going to be really good fun to build in. So looking forward to doing that tomorrow evening. We had another super chat come in from David Aitken, who says he's taken his $4.99 off of his GTX 1070 profit. Now that's probably a little bit of a plug as well. So David is actually on our Discord chat, and in our Discord chat there's a channel devoted to those that want to buy or sell parts. And David is actually selling his GTX, an MSI Armor OC 1070. Yeah, 1070. So if you're after a 1070 graphics card, jump in the Discord and make him an offer. I'm sure if you get around about the sort of 170 to 200 pound mark, I'm sure he'll sort something out for you. And he's actually dusted it today, so it's nice and clean. And 100% COVID free. Copyright. Right. British Noob says, let's go Intel, let's go. No, let's just not. Let's really not. Especially when the 7700K is a lot more expensive than the 3100X and the 3300X, which are going to be, I would imagine, going to be the go-to chips for the upcoming range of B550 builds, and hopefully, fingers crossed, the B450 builds, but that's another story altogether. Yep, so that was it for the video. So let's have a look at some of your questions, and then we'll get into a little bit more about what the video is about. Actually, I'll probably end up answering a lot of these questions anyway as we go through it. So Ubuntu Dread has come up with actually a good question, which does relate to what this is all about tonight. And we've got another super chat, so I'll address that in a minute. But the question from Ubuntu Dread is, where are all the cheap, worthwhile PC power supplies at the moment? It's really had a knock-on effect. The whole coronavirus and the Wuhan thing. Obviously, manufacturing in China is a massive deal throughout the entire world for everybody. So a lot of stuff, regardless of the brand, so whether it's your EVGA, your Corsair, Rio Toro, CIT, whatever it is, whatever your choice is of power supply, there's a really strong chance that either the components, the motherboard, or the casing is produced in China, because so much stuff has been outsourced there. So with all the lockdowns in place and all that kind of stuff, and also kind of the lockdowns almost coming back into effect over there, supplies are getting very limited, and the prices have gone up massively. Definitely at least $10 to $20, maybe even $30 increase on some of the power supply prices that I've seen, especially the higher end tier ones. EVGA power supplies have definitely gone up considerably in this time. One of them, which I would say which is worth buying, and I have bought and I have used, the CITV. The CITV. That's the that's children's ITV in the UK. What is going on? The CIT ATV Pro 500 watt, which isn't a high-end power supply in any way, shape or form. It's a budget bronze, but still can pick those up for about 30 to 35 pounds, which still, in my opinion, is a great power supply for most units. I'm not sure if I've actually got it in that PC. I don't think I have.
We'll find out soon when you do that.
Yeah, I'll find out when I take it all apart. I think that one's got the Rio Toro one in there, the Onyx. But really good power supply, still at an exceptionally good price in my opinion. Obviously, it's not going to suit everybody, but 500 watts these days, you can run most things, even your kind of Ryzen 7s, Ryzen 9s, with a moderate graphics card and with kind of fans and all that kind of stuff. Generally, you're not going to get much above kind of 450, 500 watts, it lucky. Ideally, you don't want to run it at that, but It's certainly an option until prices come back down, so worth checking out. If you haven't seen it, check out the video review I did. Just do a search CIT ATV 500 Pro. I nearly said CITV again. I'll try and definitely not to do that. But yeah, that is where all the PSUs are. They're not hidden anywhere. They're not being stockpiled anywhere. Literally everywhere is sold out. So stocks will start hopefully hitting the market again soon, but how soon, nobody can really tell at the moment. That is one of the big shames actually about the whole kind of commoditization of PC components, where everything's been outsourced to China pretty much because of their cheap labor, cheap costs, shipping, all that kind of stuff. It really has had a knock-on effect, whereas a lot of other industries do have stuff manufactured all around the world, so they're not suffering so much, but definitely electronics are suffering quite badly. So hopefully that answers your question. So there was another super chat I just missed back then, which was, I can't see which one it was. No, it wasn't.
John
no.
Walsh. Evening, Mike.
John Walsh says, evening. Good evening. John Walsh. Oh yeah. John Walsh says, he splashed out on a Seasonic Focus PSU. I never skimp on a power supply. I do tend to. I generally do. That's what Mike's Unboxing is all about. We haven't got like an unlimited pot of gold where we just throw cash at stuff and go for the latest and greatest because it's cool and it's expensive, so it should be great. The whole point of this channel when it started was to find bargains, or to find kind of like value for money, cost effective. We all want to save money if we can, if it's justifiable. There's no point saving money just for the sake of it. You have to save money to make it worthwhile, which when it comes to buying PC parts is especially apparent, because you can spend an absolute ton of cash and still get the same performance from something which would cost you almost half the price. And also you get the compatibility coming into it as well, which we're going to talk about. Nak says there's a shortage of X570 boards. Now that I haven't noticed, I'll be completely honest with you, but maybe I should look at that. I've been trying to see what it's about. Nugent has given us a £2 super chat, and the question is, Samsung D-Die versus Micron E-Die, which is the better overclock? Truthfully, I would say that is a little bit outside of my knowledge. I would hesitate to say the Micron was better, because Samsung generally do make exceptionally good RAM chips, but the Micron stuff is also very good. I would say really you're probably better off asking someone who is really into their overclocking. Personally, I very rarely overclock RAM.
Electa's good on overclock.
Yeah, Aletta might be able to answer that. I generally well actually I can't remember. I think there's only one time that I actually went over the XMP rating of my RAM, and that was with the old Corsair, the LPX 2133 RAM, which was really, really slow, but overclocks really nicely. But these days, with most RAM hitting kind of 3200, 3600, 4000 in some cases, is there much point of overclocking the RAM? There isn't actually much difference between kind of 2666 RAM and 3600 in most people's kind of experience, and definitely unless you benchmarked it, you'd really, really struggle to notice difference on a kind of a general basis using your Windows desktop. So to try and squeeze a little bit of extra performance out just to get some benchmark numbers, for me is a massive waste of time, if I'm completely honest with you. I don't have a lot of time as it is, busy with the YouTube channel, other things, family life, part-time job, etc. So I don't have the time that I would like to have to sit down and actually try those things out. Maybe it is worthwhile, but for me, PC experience isn't all about benchmarks. It's all about usability, reliability. The last thing I want to do is overclock the hell out of my stuff and then face blue screens of death every now and then. Yes, it's nice to do it, to see what your RAM can do, then dial the settings back for kind of everyday use as a daily driver. I completely get that, and that's maybe something I probably should be looking into a little bit more. Aletta typically says, I'm running 4400 megahertz RAM, trying to get it up to 4800. Yeah, as Skystalker says, if you overclock on Ryzen, there is a trick. Ask Aletta, she's really good at it. She certainly is. Nugent says, bravo Mike, you have chose a correct answer. Woohoo! My correct answer was the fact that I don't know what I'm talking about. That is often the case. But generally, if I don't know the answer to something, I won't BS it and try and fudge an answer. I'll either admit that I don't know the answer, or I'll look it up and try and make a educated guess, which I think is a fair thing to do. Xbox Gamer says, as soon as the MSI X570 Tomahawk releases, I'm defo getting it. I'll be honest with you, that is what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for a B550 or an X570 Tomahawk to go in that PC behind me, because it's got that gigabyte board in at the moment, the B450 Gaming X, which, to be honest with you, is absolutely fine. But I've got my MSI components on there, and I really want to sync it all together with the Mystic Sync. I'm so gutted that my X570 Pro-A was a DOA, unfortunately. It was an open box model and it came through, and I kind of worked out after, I thought, maybe it's because I tried a processor which wasn't supported. But then I looked through and like, no, the ones I used were supported, so it wasn't an issue there. But it did make me think, oh God, maybe it was my fault because of the backwards compatibility thing. But turns out it wasn't, it was fine. And I've actually been tempted to buy another one just to get that PC up and running. The X570 Pro-A, in 99% of cases, is going to be absolutely fine for most people. Overclocking, it's not great at. The VRMs, as we know from the reviews, do get a little bit toasty. But with decent cooling, some decent airflow, you shouldn't have any problems. And most of the Ryzen processors, the 3rd gen, don't like overclocking a great deal. They can do, but they don't like it. They do kind of get to the point where thermally they start going right over the edge, which for most people they don't really want. They'd rather have a nice, cool, quiet system, which is quite quick, rather than a faster system, which is kind of full speed, all the fans blazing, or exotic water cooling. But anyway, like I said, each to their own. Kev's in the house. Click tech Kev.
Go up a little. 0 reds 0.
Kev says I've got to go up a little bit. 0 rev 0. Oh yeah. 0 red 0. Hi, I have a problem that my PSU has a little electric noise. Is that normal? It depends what the electric noise is. If it sounds like a kind of arcing noise, that's not good. If it's like a resistor or capacitor buzzing or humming, it does happen from time to time, depending on the power supply, how good a quality it is, how old it is. It could be a sign of imminent failure. Normally, if you've got a slightly bad or underpowered power supply, you generally tend to notice it more on the graphics card. You'll find it under the games or under a graphics card load. You might find you get more graphics card whine or coil whine. That is a very common thing. People say, how do I cure my coil whine? And generally, it's by a better power supply, because it's generally the power delivery isn't great, and the ripples in the electricity are causing whining coils. It's quite a complex thing, but you can certainly look into it, and I would probably get that power supply checked out. I know it's difficult to take it somewhere at the moment because of COVID-19, but I would certainly try and get somebody to take a look at it for you. What else we got? Gary says the X570 Tough is really good. It is, but I do notice a lot of people with problems with it, especially with RAM. That has been, I had problems myself due to putting the RAM in the wrong slots. Schoolboy error, I know. But even so, people who've put the RAM in the right slots are still struggling to get their RAM to run at rated speeds in some cases, which is a little bit worrying. Does seem to be quite a high, not failure rate, but it's quite a problematic board for some reason. I don't know why, because they're normally very good. I do apologise for that. Okay, so let's talk about what we're going to talk about. So, how do you buy PC parts to build a PC? Now, for the complete noobs out there who've never done it before, the simplest way of trying to not make a mistake or minimize your mistake is to use a website called PCPartPicker.com. There's versions of it in the UK, Australia, America, wherever you want to be. Pretty much there's a version tailored to you, and they'll give you a list of the components, parts, all that kind of thing. And you can start off with something pretty simple like a processor, And then from that, it will tell you what parts are compatible as you go down through the list. So you choose your processor, which most people kind of tend to do, I would say, to start with. Choose a CPU, because that is what they look at a focal point of, right, I've got X amount of money, I want to spend this much on a processor, which rightly or wrongly is pretty much the best way of doing it.
They want to know what you're drinking as well.
British News put another £2 super chat and says, Kerry and Amazon, boom, easy. I don't quite get that. Do you get that?
Is that because they think that's watered down Coke?
Alright, yeah, watered down Coke. No, it's not. I'm a bit confused by that one.
They're gone again.
I don't know.
Did it not stop?
It didn't stop.
Oh, sorry.
The lights are going. Ah! Okay, so PC part picker is the way to start, in my opinion. It makes buying PC components a lot easier. You can get a really good idea of what will work. Some people do find that when you choose a motherboard with a certain processor, especially some of the Ryzen 3s, you do get an asterisk at the bottom saying, warning, this motherboard may need a BIOS flash. That is where then you should go to the motherboard manufacturer's website, take a look at their qualified vendor list and also their BIOS support. That's a really good way of finding out what is going on. British News put another £2 in and says, I meant go to Kerry to copy his amazing PC building skis. His amazing PC builds. Yeah, if you want to learn how to build a PC, but very, very, very slowly, Kerry Holzman, God bless him, he has a YouTube channel, which, no, I'm not going to say that. He has a channel which you can go and watch, and he does PC builds very, very slowly. And they're very funny. But not in the way that they're meant to be, I don't think. Or maybe I'm just jealous because he's got loads of viewers. Who knows? Anyway, moving on. So yeah, PC part picker, if it does throw up an error saying that your BIOS is incompatible or possibly incompatible, the easiest way of working out if that is true or not is literally go to the motherboard manufacturer's website, look at their support page and see what's going on. That is a really good way of doing it. Yeah. From that as well, you get your compatibility for the RAM, all that kind of stuff. And what I could do now, if I quickly open up another tab, I'll open up a PC part picker, which is nice and easy to do. And I'll do a quick demo build to show you how it all works, which some of you might be bored to tears with, but we'll give it a go. So, how do I do that? I have to remember myself now, number 3. So let's see if that's changed. Hopefully it has. There's a delay. Yeah, there we go. Right, okay. So there we go. There's pcpartpicker.com/list, so you can create your own list. Excuse me. So we're in United Kingdom, so I've got United Kingdom selected, but like I said before, you've got all these different countries to choose from. So if you're doing it for somebody else even, you can choose India or Hong Kong or France or whatever it is, so you can get prices based on their area. So let's do a good example here. So let's do the Ryzen 5 3600, because we've looked at some reviews. That seems to be bang per buck, and as you can see, it's coming right up at the top because it is a very, very high rating CPU. So we can pick up one of those at the moment for £152, which seems pretty decent. So we'll add that to the basket, or we'll add it to our list. And as you can see, currently we've got compatibility, no issues or incompatibilities found, and we also know that our estimated wattage under full load is going to be around about 65 watts. So this will give you an idea of what power supply you're going to need when you get a bit further down the list. So next thing, we're going to want a CPU cooler. So it comes with a cooler anyway, but we want something a little bit better. So if we go for like one of the higher rated ones, so the Hyper 212 is a really good choice. If you want to go water cooling, again, there's options that it shows you. So you can choose whichever you want to do, but I think most people, realistically, if you're going to be spending £150 on £150 on a processor, you don't want to then be spending another £100 on a Noctua cooler, because you might as well just buy a more expensive processor if you want to get that much performance out of it. So we'll go for something a little bit lower down the chain, and let's sort by price and see what we can come up with. So you can do that. You can click on price and then you can pick up some cheaper options. So at the bottom of the options list, we've got some of the Arctic coolers. The Alpine 12 is compatible, but not really a good idea. So let's look. We don't want to spend too much, less than £20 if we can get away with it. Ideally, I would say a 120mm tower cooler would be particularly good value if we can get it. We've got the Deepcool Gamax 200T. That's not a bad option. The Contact 16 is also a pretty decent option. And what else we got? Thermaltake QRP 0552. That's a pretty good one as well. And we don't really want to go over our £20 kind of budget if we can possibly help it. It looks like the Freezer 7's been included in there. That's a little bit over. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go with the Rajintec, the Adios Black. So that's £2 under. So we'll add that on because we know it's going to be compatible. That's a decent cooler. So that's not breaking the bank, but you get some really good cooling and also it's very quiet as well. So this is where it gets interesting. So now we need to choose a motherboard. And for some reason, we've only got one compatible product, which is the ASRock X570 Phantom Gaming ITX. So there's clearly something gone wrong there. What the heck has gone wrong there? So let's go back. As per usual, things never go right when you're trying to. I wonder if it's because of that cooler. Let's get rid of the cooler.
Why don't you do that list you've got on the desk?
And let's look at a motherboard. Okay. That's better. So it must be an incompatibility with that cooler, which is unusual. That doesn't always happen. That is a first for me. So we've got a choice now of different types of motherboards. So we can go down the side. If you've got a particular motherboard manufacturer you'd like, you can choose one. So let's say in my instance, I want to use an MSI board because I've got, like I said, the MSI stuff that I need to use the software with, the Mystic Sync. So if we look at our ratings, so these are always done in rating order generally. So the highest rating board currently is the MSI B450 Tomahawk Max, which as we all know has been getting some stellar ratings and is pretty much regarded as one of the best boards on the platform. But we're a little bit kind of forward thinking and we want to go with something a little bit newer. So let's try for a X570 chipset on the MSI, and this is going to reduce our boards considerably. And now if we do it by price, because we don't want to blow the budget altogether. So these top three boards, the Gaming Edge, the Gaming Plus and the Pro A, are pretty much all identical. The Pro Carbon is a little bit better. It's got Wi-Fi built in as the Gaming Edge has, but the Pro Carbon has got slightly better VRMs. Not stellar VRMs, but still very good. If we jump up a little bit further, we've got the Unify, which again, £280 is a lot more expensive than our motherboard, although than our processor, but we can get within the same kind of margins of performance. It's only a 65 watt part, so I'm going to stick with the A Pro. So we're going to add that to the list, and as we can see, look, the estimated wattage is creeping up now to 135 watts. So then you need to add your memory. Now realistically, for memory, I'm pretty sure that a lot of the memory on here is going to show up. I'm pretty sure that the memory that shows up is going to be pretty much under what we want to use. So ideally, DDR4 3600 is going to be the kind of sweet spot for that particular processor. And we could overclock RAM, but it's probably easier just to buy it, stick it in, and enable the XMP and just let it get on with it. So again, same sort of deal. We'll go with high rating. So the G-Skill Rituals V 16GB kit is going to be perfect. £113 is a little bit more than what you could spend. So if we change this to price, and we can narrow it down here as well. So if we go down through the list, and we can choose 2x8, so that's 16 gigs. We could choose colors as well if you want to. CAS latency you can change as well if you're particularly interested in getting a particularly low latency. You can even choose your individual timings if you've got one that you particularly want, and you can choose if you've got a heat spreader, yes or no. But we'll go by price and see what comes up. So Vengeance LPX RAM generally is super compatible and works with anything, and as we can see at the moment, that's actually a really good price. So we've got 16 gigs of RAM there for £75, just under. So we'll add that in because that's nice and cheap and cheerful, and will do the job, and is nice and quick, 3600. So next thing is storage. Now storage, you can pretty much go with whatever you want. There's not going to be any real limitations on that. So we'll go with a cost-effective purchase. And let's find an SSD, which is pretty good value for money. Let's have a look. Western Digital Green I would avoid like the plague, particularly quite slow. And I don't think, yeah, on the SSDs, cache is actually very important for the performance, especially if it's a standalone drive. So try and pick a drive which has got a DRAM cache. Now I'm going to set the DRAM cache to be at least 32 megabytes. And let's see how that changes things. So the Crucial MX500, actually, that's not a bad shout. It's a little bit on the pricey side, but actually, what the hell, we'll go a bit because it's a pretty decent and it's high rated, so we'll work with that. So we've got our storage, we won't need any more. The video card, and the video card on this, we can use pretty much anything we want from, well, the sky's the limit. There's no reason why you couldn't run a 2080 Ti, but it would be a little bit unbalanced. So let's look at the high rating cards. I'm thinking personally like a 2060 Super, maybe just a standard 2060. Let's see what it's about. We don't want to spend a ridiculous amount of money, but we want to get something which is nice. So actually maybe a 1660 Ti might just fit the bill. At £319 for the MSI Gaming X, we've got an MSI motherboard, we've got the MSI peripherals, so that might not be a bad shout. Yeah, let's go with the 1660 Ti. We don't need RTX at the moment, there doesn't really seem to be any particular benefit, so let's stick that in as well. But now we can see where we're looking realistically with our wattage and what power supply we're going to need. So our estimated wattage at the moment under load is going to be 279 watts. So 279 watts, essentially if you double it, that is pretty much where you're going to be in a comfortable place. So if we go with a power supply now, realistically we're going to want 600 watts or above. You can go lower if you want to, and obviously that is your preference? No, prerogative. That's the word I was looking for. It's your prerogative. Now you can choose either 80 plus gold. Personally, I'm happy with bronze, but gold would be what most people would probably suggest. And if we start our search at 600 watts, because we don't really want anything below 600 watts. We probably could squeeze a 550 in if there was something particularly good value. So let's see what we've got. So we've got the Corsair RM series, which is a really nice power supply. You've got the Supernova G3, which is great, but is starting to become discontinued now. And also, as we can see, price-wise, there's nothing available at the moment. So we want something modular, ideally, with the gold rating. So actually, the Corsair TXM Gold, I think, is going to be a good shout. It's just under £90 at the moment. That looks like actually really good value for money. I don't think there's going to be anything else really. Actually, if we sort these by price, I think the TXM is probably going to be the one to go for. Oh, actually, saying that, we've got the Seasonic Core. That's gold certified, but not modular. So if modular is a thing to you, then you might want to go a little bit higher. Actually, there. That's semi-modular, the Seasonic Core GM. So actually, Seasonics are really good power supplies. So again, it's down to preference. My suggestions would be the Corsair TXM Gold or possibly the Seasonic Core GM. You can go a bit further down the list and see what is. Be quiet, always make good power supplies. The Focus is a really good power supply. That's full modular. So if you're kind of wanting to make the system last a little bit longer and actually have a super reliable power supply, the Focus is going to be a really, really good shout. And actually, we'll put that into our build. So that takes us up to, where are we at now? So we're at just £850 here in the UK, and we haven't chosen a monitor, keyboard, mouse and all that kind of stuff, and we've also omitted an operating system, because obviously if you want an operating system, then you'd go to premiumcdkeys.com and you'd use the discount code MU5 or Mike's Unboxing to get a discount off your purchase. Obviously that's what you would do, and for those of you that have done already, we do thank you very much. Obviously onto this we'd have to add on price of a case, but essentially there's a massive range, and it's all down to personal preference. Anything from the GameMax Centauri, if you really want to save the money, I probably wouldn't, to be honest with you. It's not a great case, but something like, where are we? Let's have a look what we've got. Around about the sort of £40 to £50 mark, maybe even £60 could be a good idea in that. Because of the graphics card and the CPU, it might actually be worth getting something with some pretty decent airflow, just to keep things nice and cool. So where are we looking? I think personally I would probably go for something like the, well, again, it's an MSI motherboard, MSI everything pretty much. So the MagForge 100R is actually a really nice case and has got built-in RGB, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, what the hell, let's put that in there. $49.99, that sounds like actually not a bad price. And it might be something that I have to put on my review list just to complete off my MSI-ness. So there we go, so that is pretty much a full PC. So Ryzen 5 3600, we've got a decent motherboard, which is going to be future-proof to some extent with the upcoming 4000 series AMD processors. We've got some decent quality RAM, which isn't going to cause us any issues, and we might be able to overclock it a little bit. Got a decent SSD with some cache on it as well, so it's not going to be a slow coach. SSD prices have started creeping up recently, so do bear that in mind. We may have been better off going for a NVMe drive, being that the processor and the motherboard both support PCI Express 4, but that does take you up into the kind of slightly more stratospheric price point, and for most people they probably won't notice the difference, especially in games and things like that. Graphics card wise, again, down to personal preference. Some of you probably would have gone for maybe a 5700, around the same sort of price. If you're very lucky, you might be able to squeeze in a 5700 XT. Again, me personally, because of streaming and video editing, the GeForce cards generally do tend to do better under Adobe Premiere, and also the NV encoder for streaming actually works really well. Power supply is an absolute peach. Seasonic Focus is an amazing power supply, and I would not have any hesitation whatsoever to get people to do that. I think that would work really well. And the MSI MagForce case, which I might have to do a review on. Let me know what you think. But all in all, we've got a really powerful machine with loads of future proofing, very, very good power supply, really nice looking, and we've got change out of £900, which I don't think is too bad at all. So that is how to go about using the PC part picker. Again, if you want to as well with this, if you're doing your own builds and you want to send it to me for kind of review or send it to our Discord, you can either save it and then send it as a link or whatever, and also you can use that link there. So if you copy and paste or just click on the paperclip there, you can send this link to our Discord server and we can check it out. And if you've made some hideous mistakes, we can take the mickey out of you relentlessly, which some of you may like, some of you might be quite sadistic in that case, but yeah, whatever. So that is basically where I would look. If, again, with motherboards, if you're not too sure if it supports a specific processor, so let's say on this one, let's go to the MSI X570A Pro, because that is a board we're choosing or looking to choose. Now, it might be the case that we've got an older processor lying around, so we've maybe got a Ryzen 5 2600 because we like the Ryzen 5 series and we had one lying around, and we're thinking, well, maybe actually let's get this all up together. The 3600 is going to come down in price, so maybe I'll hang on for a little while, but I'll get the rest of the bits ready. Can I put my Ryzen 5 2600 in this board? So one way of finding out is to click on the support tab, and then we can go into either, well, BIOS we can go into in a minute, but I essentially, if go into, where is it? Compatibility, here on the right. And we can look at CPU compatibility. So if we go down our list, we want Ryzen 5, and we want the 2600, which is this one here.
Okay, baby.
So that is that. So this processor was compatible with BIOSes from version H1 upwards. So is this going to work out of the box is the biggest question that I get asked all the time. So let's take a look at the H1 BIOS and let's have a look and see which version that actually was. So again, if we go back into support and we'll go into BIOS and let's have a look, see what the first BIOS was that was ever released. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the H1. So there we go. So the 7C37V H1, new BIOS release as it says there. So that's the very, very first BIOS. So we are guaranteed 100%, well, apart from a product failure or some kind of installation issue, if we've bought this motherboard and we've got that processor, there is 100% chance that that is going to work straight out of the box with the original BIOS. Now it's not such a big issue with the X570A Pro because you've got the BIOS flashback on there, but if you're choosing a motherboard which doesn't have some form of BIOS flashback, or CPU-less flashback, you really do have to take this into consideration. And I would say it's probably one of the most popular questions I get on the channel is, will this motherboard work with my processor? Now, obviously, without going through each individual one and going through this process, I don't know for sure if it's supported in the initial BIOS. We could actually find out that in the further BIOSes up the road, they may have actually removed support, which is another difficult thing to actually to work out. But it hasn't said it's been removed on there. It's still shown in the guide. So as far as we know, from what we can see from the documentation, that CPU is supported on that board. So hopefully that that clears it up for some of you. Oh, probably didn't want to show that screen, but never mind.
What screen was that?
The streaming screen. Never mind. I am useless. So let's go back to the camera, hopefully. Has it gone back to the camera? I can't see it. There's such a lag.
Such a delay, yeah.
There we go. We're back in the world of the living.
Noob has done a review this, please, part picker list.
So Noob's done a review list. Right, what I'll do is, before I do that, actually, I have had a email. Remember these emails and paper when we used to print things out? So,
Which we did this morning.
Which we did this morning. This is from one of our Discord members, I think. And
No, I think he
no,
just...
Instagram this was from, which actually I'm going to go on to that later about my, I'm going to have a rant as well a little bit about this. Not this, but about Instagram and social media in general. So this is from Billy Knight, and he's asked a question about a PC or build he's looking at doing. So probably a good idea for us to review it and go through it now.
I think Billy was in...
And actually see what your thoughts are. I'll see what my thoughts are and see if we match up somewhere along the line.
Is Billy still in?
So I'll skip through some of this, blah, 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 hope you're well, etc, etc. So Billy's decided to go with the GameMax View case, which we reviewed a while back, I think. Not quite a nice case, loads of fans and you can put in there, so that's pretty decent. So cooling shouldn't be an issue in there. He says he's going to add 3 extra fans in there, so yep, cooling's going to be good. Chosen for a Be Quiet 750 straight Power 11 PSU, which is a pretty decent cooler. I'm pretty sure that's a gold rated as well, if I remember rightly. Yeah, because scan we're out of stock of the Corsair 750, which seems to be all around the place. But he's looking to use a Ryzen 3900X with Corsair Vengeance 32GB 3600 MHz and a Red Devil 5700 XT. Although getting a lot of mixed reviews on this, so I'm unsure. Well, the Red Devil 5700 XT is okay for the money. It's a little bit on the loud side, I think, if I remember rightly. He's also aiming for 2x 4TB 3.5-inch drives, along with a 1TB M.2 SSD. Hasn't decided on brands or models for those yet. Left some space in the case for 360 AAO should you need it. Change down to motherboard. So motherboards is either going to be the MSI X570 Ace or the X570 Tai Chi. Could do with some guidance here. Many thanks and keep up the good work with the channel. You are a guiding light in so many regards. Well, thank you, Bill. That's very kind of you. You sure you've addressed it to the right channel? But anyway, by the way, let's have a look. Motherboard wise, the MSI X570 Ace is a really, really good board. The X570 Tai Chi, also fantastic board. I would think probably Aletta in the chat at the moment is probably the best person to speak to about the MSI X570 Ace, because I believe that is the board she has got. Maybe if the chat catches up, she can confirm or deny that rumour. But yeah, I think that is probably where I would go. The case-wise, yeah, no issues at all. The power supply, I think you've chosen a great power supply. The 750 watt. I would have to put the parts into PC Part Picker specifically, and with some of the other bits you've chosen.
And that has the unified.
With the power supply, with those extra hard drives in there, the 2 mechanical drives, you might want to think about maybe upping the power supply slightly. If that isn't a gold power supply, you might want to up it to a gold version. If it's a bronze, then go up maybe another 100 watts. But overall, I think it's a pretty balanced system. I don't think you could really do much different with it. You didn't say what you're going to be using it for mostly. Scanning through that again, I can't see.
Gold.
So, oh, it is gold power supply. Okay, excellent.
The letter's got the Unify.
So yeah, the Aletha's got the Unify, which is the next one up from the Ace, I believe. So they're very similar boards, but again, the X570 Tai Chi or the Ace, both of them really good boards with 3900X. I don't envisage you having any problems at all. The only thing I would potentially say at the moment is maybe consider waiting a couple of weeks until the B550 is launched. See what effect that is going to have on the motherboard pricing. I'm expecting that the B550s are going to be a very similar kind of feature set to the X570s, but possibly quite a bit cheaper. So that may make the X570s, because they're technically old hat, because they're not this kind of B550 generation, there might be some significant reductions. So it might be a bit of a gamble. I think the processor is definitely going to go down in price because we're going to start hearing more and more rumours about the 4000 series. We have seen in the last couple of days actually some of the higher end Ryzen SKUs coming down in price by $10, $20, $25 or more. So it might be worth hanging on to that and seeing what happens. I would say probably give it another 2 weeks before you do anything, just to be kind of sure what's going on, or wait for the release of the B550 boards, which is going to be about a month, I think, from now. I think it's June 16th, I think they're going to be released. Don't know why that's in my mind somehow, but I think that's probably right. So, yeah, Billy, there's lots of things in my mind which are not right, but I think that is actually right. Possibly. It's been a long week. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos. Also gone back to work this week as well, so yeah, I'm a little frazzled, and it is late on a Saturday, so I could be wrong. It does happen.
Very good.
Anyway, hopefully that answers some of your questions, if not all of them. Again, we're in such a really weird time at the moment with the PC industry because of the coronavirus and because of all the new stuff about to hit. We've also got the Intel stuff to consider, as I'm sure the British noob would appreciate me pointing out. That is going to be a thing, and is going to be a contributing factor, and because...
He stares at his motherboard a lot.
Sorry?
He stares at his motherboard a lot.
Does he? He stares at his motherboard a lot, apparently. Sad boy. Anyway, the Intel side of things may have a bit of a bearing on what happens next. It really might. I don't think there's going to be anything too kind of mind-shattering, but you never know. Intel might do an absolute blinder and reduce prices massively. So, yeah, it could happen. I would say hold fire. Unless you're really, really desperate or you get absolutely what appears to be a mental deal, then I would certainly give it a couple of weeks. See how things go. British Noob has hit us up with another super chat of £2, and he says, woo, Intel.
And dab.
And dab. I can't remember how to do it, is that it? I'm too tired for that. I'm too bloody old. Anyway, moving on. Okay, so Welsh Tony's in the house. Welsh Tony is a fellow YouTuber. So please do check out his channel. Same goes for Kev as well, and all the others that are YouTubers that are in here as well. Go and check out their channels. Show them some love. Sky Stalker says 10 Canadian dollars. He's put his money where his mouth is, and yeah, AMD, enough said. Fred Young's thrown in another £2 and says AMD rules. It does at the moment, it really, really does. But it could all change, and ideally we want it to change, because that would be perfect. If Intel came back this year with an absolute blinder, cheap chipset on the lower end or mid-range, then that could really upset the apple cart for AMD and force them to do something really drastic with either more cores, more frequency, or less money, which would be great for us all. Oh God, we've got another one. So there seems to be a battle going on, so we'll carry on having a stream while Noob and Skywalker fight it out over their funds and their beliefs. So British Noobs donated £15 and says, Don't start Sky. Stop wasting your Canadian rupees. We all know it's worth about £2. Let's go Intel. Intel is the best. This is gonna get very, very, very weird.
And
Ghost thingy.
said you don't need another 100 watts for another HDD.
Okay. You probably don't need, yeah, you probably don't need an extra 100 watts for the extra hard disk drives, but it's always worth to have a little bit more in the tank. As anyone who's driven long distance will certainly tell you. Let's have a look at some of these questions now because I've pretty much got off my chest. I think pretty much...
Is that broken?
Yeah, I think that is broken. Hello, McFly? I'll turn it off, that's easier. Now have I got to turn it back on?
Yeah.
It'll turn itself back on at some point. Anyway, moving on. So there is really the simplest way of building a PC. There's a lot of ways of doing it, a lot of people you can go to, a lot of channels you can watch to get advice, and guaranteed if you ask 10 people their opinion on a PC, you get 15 different answers. It always is like that. It's a very, very personal thing, personal computer after all. So PC Part Picker would be great for unbiased because they're going on sales history, sales figures, and you can kind of modify things to suit yourself. You can also go into forums, like go to Reddit, join a Discord server, like ours for instance. Look at just reviews, all that kind of stuff, and see what people's general opinions are. Take into consideration that some people are paid for their opinions, so obviously some of them do take with a slight pinch of salt. Yeah, it's difficult to make your mind up. But again, if you've got any comments or questions and you really need to know the answer, feel free to swing by our Discord and you can get opinion from all of us and see if you can make your mind up that way. Generally, I tend to make my mind up based with my wallet. I don't want to spend loads of money, so I will generally go for a slightly lower end kit because I don't push my systems that aggressively. Like for instance, at the moment, this laptop, which is the Acer Aspire, was it A515 or something like that? And currently I'm streaming, I've got these windows open, I've got the Super Chat open, OBS is running, and currently if we look at our CPU monitor, so this is a 4-core 8-thread device, it's only got 8 gigs of RAM. I'm literally streaming on a laptop with 8 gigs of RAM, which is insane. And currently we are at 28% CPU utilization, memory is at 58% utilization, disk is at pretty much 0 because it's all internet-based streaming, and the internet is, where are we? That is peaking a little bit, so we're sending out about 5 megabits per second and we're receiving about 1 megabit per second. So that is getting a little bit towards high end. And the GPU, which is doing the transcoding, excuse me, the video encode at the moment is, well actually it's doing it thinks it's 3D for some reason rather than video encode, but currently it is at about 36% of its utilization. Now being that's a Vega 8 which is built into the CPU, I think this is doing pretty darn well. So if you're looking at setting up some kind of stream, this is a 1080p stream at 5,000 megabits per second or whatever, seems to be doing pretty well. Anyway, we had a couple of super chats come in whilst I was jibber jabbering, and Fred Young's put £2 in and says, if it's blue, stick it in the sink.
Sorry.
I don't get that.
Intel.
Oh yeah. Why would you put it in the sink?
Well, blue and loo and pink and sink. Don't know.
No idea. British News put another £5 in, says AMD is stuck in the 1970s with their socket. That's very harsh. Intel is in modern times. Tell that to their fabrication plant. Buntu Dread says, whoever gives me good performance for a great price, no brand loyalty beyond Puma, the brand of my wallet. Toxic Summer says, ask 10 people, you get 15 different answers. This is true, you do. You definitely do. Charles UK asked, would it be a daft thing to put the, where was it? I did see that just now. Would it be a bad idea putting a 3300X on a A320 motherboard? Well, no, it wouldn't. It has actually, it is, well, most of them A320s appear to be compatible from what we can see at the moment. Oh, actually, do they? Yeah, it's the other way around, isn't it? It's the B450s and onwards won't take, yeah, they won't do backwards compatibility on the other chips. So yeah, you should be right with her. I'm pretty sure I looked into this on the last stream, and I think pretty much all the boards I've reviewed will take the 3100 and the 3300X. Yeah, they will. I was mistaken. That is correct. David Aiken says, Mike's making more money on this stream than Intel at the moment. Hey, don't forget, YouTube take their cut. It's a pretty big cut. Charles UK says, oh yeah, GoSeller says to Charles UK, get a B450 for 70 quid. At the moment, B450s are coming down in price a little bit. Not as much as we've seen previously, but they are coming down. The A320s are actually going up in price as they're becoming more and more scarce. So they're hitting the kind of 50 to 60 pounds mark. I've seen some for 70 pounds, which seems incredible. But the whole product stack seems to be moving up, whereas the A320s used to be like 30, 40 pounds. The B450s were kind of like 50 to 80 pounds. And then you had the top tier from there and onwards. But they seem to all be jumping up quite a lot in price. So Intel are certainly doing much better when it comes to budget chipsets, value for money wise. Alexa says, I might consider a new Intel CPU. The Z490 motherboards are beautiful. They do seem to be looking really, really good. Hopefully the B550s will follow on in that suit. Being that they're from the kind of same manufacturers, I can see that being definitely a thing. Where else are we? Oh, scroll too far. Jesus says, Intel bad, AMD good. And if it's come from the Son of God, then I suppose you have to take that. Blue is water. Got it. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate that. Yeah, Richard makes a good point there actually to Charles's question. The A320 boards support the 3300X, but you need an older chip to update the BIOS first if you're buying a board which is old stock. If you're getting newer stock, you may find the BIOS has already been done, which is always a thing. Toxic Salmon says, not gonna lie, still surprised you're under 100k, even 50k subs. Don't be surprised, I'm rubbish. I really am. But I try. I'm a perseverer. We'll get there.
He is trying.
I am trying. Swife says, I got a CPU fan for my B350 Gaming Pro by MSI, and the RGB header is a 4-pin, but the CPU cooler has a 3-pin. What can I do? Truthfully, nothing. 3-pin RGB and 4-pin RGB are completely different, incompatible systems, and never the twain shall mix. You will need to get a separate controller or something. Unfortunately, there's nothing you can do. Matthew Bennett says the PC World is just like Bristol. The red team is better. For those that aren't from Bristol, there's two football clubs. There's Bristol Rovers and Bristol City. Bristol Rovers are blue, Bristol City are red. Xbox Gamer says the B550 boards don't have a chipset fan, which is a bonus, which really is a little bit surprising. I don't understand why they don't need a chipset fan. You'd think they would, being as they're actually, in some cases, actually higher performing than the X570. Although they put a lot of the chipset features actually onto the CPU for the newer chips, so there is that to it. Anyway. Owen Fain says, I purchased the last A320 MSI Pro Max 2 2 weeks ago on Amazon. The A320. I sold my last A320 board, which was the Asus M-K, I think it was. One of our Discord members got a deal on that with the 200 GE as well and 8 gigs of RAM. That's going to be a nice little system for somebody. Now, Akat Guler, sorry if I've completely destroyed your name there. It says B550 or X570 for 3600X or 3300X. B550 should cope with both of those easily. If you're looking at the 39 series, then it might be a bit different. But from what I can tell, from what we've seen initially from the B550s, they look like they should be able to cope quite easily. They do seem to have a very, very good power delivery, which may be a contributing factor for the new 4000 series chips, which we don't know yet, but possibly. Richard says, what's happening tonight, Mike? Who have you slipped a bribe to get almost 80 people watching? I don't know. Angry Doe says, play rugby, a real man's sport.
Our nephew does.
In football, do you have to all huddle up together and grab each other's nuts? Just saying.
And bath together.
Yeah. We've all heard what goes on in those rugby changing rooms. What else we do? Swipe says, what does the RGB controller do? Could it still sync with the app by MSI? No. The MSI app works in conjunction with the motherboard and then talks to the kit. So unfortunately, you've got completely incompatible stuff. I had the same problem. I had the Gaming X board from, was it Gaming Pro? Gaming X? Whatever it was. The MSI board, the B450, and it only had 4-pin RGB. It was driving me mad because everything else uses 3-pin now. David Aitken says, up the gas. Oh dear, here we go. Thug Gamer says, Ryzen 5 3600, Galax RTX 2060 GDDDDDDR6, ASRock B450 Pro 4, ADATA GAMX D30, 8x2, I think that means 2 GB times 8 GB, and Corsair CX550, Matrix 55 mesh, and RGB. That sounds like a pretty decent setup. Thug Gamer says, please do a build on these parts. If I had those parts, I would. I've actually got the motherboard, I've got the processor, I haven't got the RAM, and I haven't got the power supply, or the case, or the graphics card. But otherwise, I'm really close. I'm really close. Rich Winrow says, my MSI motherboard only has 4 pins, sadly. Sad times. That is why I've held off so long buying a B450 motherboard from MSI, because there's very, very few apart from the Carbon which actually support 3-pin addressable RGB, which is a bit of a crime, to be honest with you. Matthew Bennett says, David Aiken, can you leave the stream please? No swearing in here.
Are they both from Bristol?
I think they're probably both from Bristol. Thug Gamer says, or you can use equivalent parts to make it possible. Okay, we'll try that. Top 6 Hammer says, Mike, I'm about to install Windows on my M.2. I'm told uninstalling Windows partitions on my hard disk drive will keep my files but remove Windows. So do I delete drive 0, Windows, and Windows RE tools to delete OS? No, I would say the best thing to do if you want to keep your files from your hard drive is just disconnect it. Unplug it, put the new drive in, the M.2, do your full Windows install, then go into BIOS and set that as being your primary boot drive, and then plug in your hard drive again, and then you'll still have access. It won't try and boot to it, but you'll still have access, and then you can delete any files you don't need, like your Windows files, but generally there probably won't be that many there, but you can certainly give it a clean up. But that's definitely a good idea. Kenneth Dyke says, my ASRock B550 M Pro 4 was £70 and it has both 4-pin and 3-pin RGB. No idea why MSI can't do it. Yeah, it's been a really, really weird thing. That for me is why the ASRock B450 boards were as good as they were. The Pro 4 is a good board, as is the Steel Legend. Okay, so that's all the PC building stuff talked about. Let's talk about why I'm quitting most of my social media. Okay, on a daily basis, as you can probably tell, the channel's starting to grow a little bit and we get a lot of questions. And we get them in so many different places. And it's really, really difficult to kind of keep an eye on all those different places all the time. Because you've got your Instagram, you've got your LinkedIn, you've got Facebook, Twitter, Facebook groups, Twitch, what else is there? Outlook for email, Patreon, Discord. There's bound to be something else. So that's like nearly 10 different streams of information coming in. Oh, YouTube questions, that's definitely a big one. And what's the other one? There's something else anyway, but you get it. So there's an absolute ton of information coming in. And quite a lot of the time, it's daft questions. I get, like today was a typical one. I get a Facebook friend request come in. And it's someone I don't know, not a clue who they are. But it's like, okay, I'll click on it. First of all, hi. So, okay, whatever. So I leave it. A couple of minutes, I'm doing something else. Hi pops up again. It's like typing away, answering some questions on another thing. All right, I'll get around to it in a minute. Next thing, all caps, hello. At which point, I'm thinking, actually, if you can't be bothered to wait for me to reply, I probably don't want to reply to you anyway. So straight on it, right click, block sender, block from Facebook, block from Messenger. Then a couple of minutes later, I get almost identical name come through, trying to do the same thing again. Hi. Okay, so still answering questions on something else at the time. So I put hi, and they're like, hello, where are you from? It's like, you sent me the bloody friend request, you idiot. Surely you know where I'm from, otherwise you wouldn't have sent me a friend request. Or are you just one of these bots? Possibly they are, possibly not. So, no, sod it, I can't be arsed with this. Right click, block, get rid of, gone. Close the app down. Then it's the same thing, we get it on pretty much every single form of communication possible. On YouTube, you get all that spam. There's the same sort of names as like Tom or something or NCS Gaming or whatever it may be. You get all these things come through. Every video you do, hi, can we be friends? Or can we be YouTube buddies? Or great video, keep up the great work. And they just spam it all the way through. And it's like, I try and answer every single question I get. Literally I do. I go to great lengths to try and answer every question. Even from the very first video we ever made, I still will answer questions on it. Probably to my detriment and to my own mental health, it ain't good. So there's just too much social media stuff going on. And people ask staff questions like, what graphics card will work with my motherboard? I don't know. What motherboard have you got? If you don't give me the information, it's really difficult. It's just like, give me the information all up front and then I can find out rather than, sorry, I don't know which motherboard you have or your budget or your games or what other components you've got. It's very difficult for me to recommend something. So that's like 2 minutes out of my day taken up. Then wait for that to go back to them and then to come back saying, oh, it's an MSI. I get it might not be everyone's cup of tea and maybe they've got a box in front of them and all they can see is a big MSI logo. But please, help me out. Help out a slightly mentally confused person by just looking on the box. If you're not sure, ask wherever you bought it from. It's going to have a model number somewhere. Hell, even take the side panel off. Most of the time you don't even have to take the side panel off. You can just look at the side of the case, look through the glass or the perspex. Oh yeah, MSI. B450. Now there's some more numbers, keep reading. Oh, right, yeah, Dash Pro. And a bit more. Oh yeah, A. Great. Fantastic, we're getting somewhere. So now I know what motherboard you got. Now tell me, how much money have you got? What games do you play? What are you planning to do with the PC? What processor you got? It's a really, really long-winded thing, and some questions are a lot harder to answer than others, but I still try and do them anyway. So I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to concentrate all of my efforts onto the places where I tend to get the most sensible and answerable questions. So as of today, we will only be answering questions pretty much 100% on YouTube videos So if you post a comment or a question in the YouTube video, there's pretty much a 99% chance you're going to get it answered, even if it is a stupid question. It might be a canned response, but you'll get a response. The next one is Outlook. So in my email, so if you send an email, mike@mikesunboxing.com, or one of the affiliated, well not affiliated, one of the kind of registered accounts to the YouTube channel. So if you're contacting me through YouTube, I think it's got a different one, but it all comes through eventually. So if you do it from there, generally you'll get a reply if it doesn't get put in the spam bin. We will be doing it on Facebook. So no, hang on. No, that's wrong. On Facebook, you can ask a question, but you get a default reply saying, please send the question to our Discord or email address. Discord is the one we're going to be concentrating on probably the most, because that is running pretty much 24/7 on the PC to some extent, or at least there's people on the Discord who, in my absence, will provide a good or even better in some cases answer, because there's a wealth of people on there with really good knowledge across a very wide range of topics and types, and also British noobs on there as well. So if you need to know how to throw a webcam out of your bedroom window, he's definitely your man.
How to build a PC in a fish tank.
Yeah, how to build a PC in a fish tank, he's also very good at that. But seriously, any questions like that, ideally, especially if this is like an intricate thing where there's going to be a lot of to and fro in, Discord is definitely the best way of doing it, because you can have that kind of quick response or relatively quick response. Or I've ideally put the message into one of the channels rather than direct messaging me, because it's quite nice for other people to see what's going on as well. Maybe they can chip in and help answer. But that Discord is going to be the main one, and the other one is going to be Patreon. So YouTube questions, Discord questions, email questions, and I'm struggling with the finger, Patreon questions. That is going to be the four main ways you can contact me or Kath, or ask questions about the channel, or whatever you want to do. That's going to be the four ways to do it. So Instagram's going, Facebook essentially is pretty much going.
No, Facebook's
What's the other one? It's staying, but it's not going to be questions and answers. I won't be spending much time on it. So Instagram, I hate Instagram. Why do people use Instagram? I really don't get it. Instagram is rubbish. What's the other one where you post stuff? Oh, Twitter. I'm not using Twitter. Twitter, again, I'll leave the stuff on there, but generally I don't get very involved anyway. I don't really get it. It's a bit mixed up for my liking.
And also it's that whole freedom of speech thing.
Yeah, the whole freedom of speech thing is getting a little bit out of hand, where if you say something which is not along what they want to say, you just get kicked off or deleted or accused of false rumours or whatever it is, false news or fake news. Like, it's my decision. If I want to read fake news, hey, I'll read fake news. But anyway, that's another story. So there we go. Yeah, Rich Winnow says, does a wheel work with a car? Sometimes. Only if it's a round one. If it's not a round wheel, you might struggle.
Is it even attached to the car?
Yeah. It doesn't mean if it's attached to the car, but yeah, I get the deal. Michael Schneider says, don't buy 90-degree SATA cables from hard drive to SATA ports. They're a nightmare. Okay. Xbox Gamer says, why is there not much of a difference between the prices of, let's say, a 1 terabyte NVMe M.2 or a SATA M.2? Maybe a £5 difference. I don't get it. I think it's because they're taking advantage of the price difference. Well, they're making the SATA drive dearer and put them in line with the NVMe. They want to sell NVMe because they're cheaper to produce. So yeah, there's some reason for it. I don't get it, but it doesn't seem right. It should be considerably cheaper, but it isn't. But anyway, I think that pretty much wraps up tonight's stream. I got that off my chest. So social media, we're stepping right back. We're just going to concentrate on the four main streams that we actually get decent responses from. And actually, it's easy to communicate on. So if you are sending questions on Instagram, Twitter, whatever else, you may not get a reply. So if you do want to get in touch, mike@mikesunboxing.com, or just do it from YouTube questions or drop by the Discord. That is going to be the easiest way of doing it. So I think that pretty much wraps up this this stream for tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us for the Saturday stream. Don't forget, tomorrow we're going to try and do the live stream to do the build in the Sharkoon RGB Lit 100, which will be replacing that PC in the background. So join us for some positive screwing action tomorrow evening, hopefully. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. Hope you've all had a good night, stay safe, be well, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next live stream.
They can go off and watch Kerry now.
Yeah, thanks for watching.